Hey, everyone, it's me. Let's dive in. So we pick up today with Sarah being very much dead. And her death is actually a big deal, because she's the mother of all of Israel. So they're gonna have a big funeral for her. And her body is taken and laid in a cave that's already been prepared, which was bought by Abraham from the sons of Het for 400 pieces of silver. It's called the Cave of Machpelah now. It's probably in this cave that Adam also died and was buried. Hence why there's so many significant people in Jewish tradition who are buried in this cave. But either way, Sarah is now dead and buried. And I think this might be one of the first times in Scripture where someone is just straight up called old. The text says Sarah, when she was old, very old, she breathed her last breath and died. I mean, to be fair, they did call Abraham old a lot, but typically it was attached to something like old and well advanced in years, or old and very old. This is just straight up old weird. Anyway, Sarah is dead. And so now Abraham is pretty bummed because he doesn't want to die. He's still trying to have kids. God told him and Sarah that they were gonna have a son when they were super old, but now Sarah is dead. So Abraham is like, well, this sucks. And he goes to God and complains about how he will die childless, and therefore his servant, he has no heir, and therefore the blessing of God will go to someone else. And Abraham really loves his servant, so he wants to make sure that his servant is taken care of. So Abraham tells his servant to swear an oath to him that he will not take a wife for Isaac from the daughters of Canaan, the land of Canaan, but rather he must go back to his own people and find a bride from there. Then Abraham gives his servant everything he needs to set up camp for the night, gives him food and drink, and then tells him, hey, listen, if you do what I've asked you to do, that would be great. And by the way, you can take some of my riches and give them to your future wife. And so the servant is like, cool, and does exactly what Abraham tells him. The servant arrives in his hometown, calls for family, tells them what he's doing, and then says, hey, look, I'm gonna give you some of these riches. You pick me a wife here. No pressure. And they're like, sounds great. And so they start looking around, and they find the prettiest girl they can find, named Rebekah. And the servant is like, that's her. And they're like, wait, hold on. We don't know if she'll be okay with this. And he's like, well, hey, you know, she's got a say in it. So they go ask Rebekah, and she's like, sure. And so they're like, sweet. And they tell her everything that Abraham told them. They pack her up and put her on a camel and send her off with the servant to go to Canaan. Along the way, though, she's thirsty, and the servant gets out and goes and gets water for her from a well. And while she's drinking, he asks God for a sign that he indeed has found the right girl. And God gives him that sign, which means he knows he's on the right track. Meanwhile, Isaac is out in the field when he hears some camels approaching. And when he sees Rebekah, he's like, that's the girl I'm gonna marry. So they go over to Isaac's house, meet up with Abraham, and Abraham is like, ew, good job, servant. You found her. That's great. I'm glad you did that. And then Abraham takes Rebekah into his tent and gives her to Isaac, and they're man and wife, and everything's awesome. And that's the end of Genesis. And that's the end of part 1. If you liked this video, please leave us a comment below. Let us know what you thought. Also, subscribe to our channel so you get notified every time we release a new video. And until next time, thanks for watching.